Salutations readers, welcome back to the Critical Writer channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I've read in February. So pretty much we're doing a little bit of a slightly newer setup here. Y'all can't see it, but I finally have a handheld tripod, so that's what y'all are on, and on top of other things. And I have a new external microphone, so we're going to see how that works with the audio here. So the audio is different because of that. I don't know, I just want to let people know about that. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much just now. I'm recording this in like the first week of March, not really usually how I like to record my wrap-up, so you know what, it is what it is, okay? And for February, as a reading month, it was not the greatest as far as in quality, but it was pretty good though in quantity. Like, numbers-wise, it's definitely an improvement, except for average rating, but we'll get to that when we get to the stats. But other than that, pretty decent reading month. Also, if y'all have seen my TBR video for Blackathon, I will have to say, my ability to complete the prompts is pretty much similar to Blackathon from last year, where I pretty much did complete all the main prompts except for the group book. Now this year there were two, and I didn't read either of the group book, so, you know, that's that. It is what it is, okay? It is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I will just say, a lot of reading. I feel like I'm improving on my blogging skills with these video diaries, so yeah. I think that's kind of like my February check-in, and that's kind of all I have for y'all on that one. Yeah, so let's just get into the reading stats. So I have read 12 books, and then I DNF'd 6 books, so that was a lot. So I read more. I read twice as much since from January, and I've DNF'd 3 times as much since January as well. But we're not going to talk about all the DNFs. Honestly, there's too many books to talk about. I can't talk about all the DNFs and the books I've read, so we're going to skip the DNFs this time around. Number of pages read, 2,181, and number of hours listened, 63.33, which is good. It's an improvement from last month. You know, more books read, more books DNF'd, but, you know, more reading. And my average reading was at 3.52, which is not good in comparison to other months. So this is definitely the lowest average reading I've ever read that I've tracked so far. Especially during Blackathon, like, bruh. Like, bruh. But you know what? Let's just talk about the books that I did read, because there were still some good books here. I still read some good books. I just read a couple more not so many so good books, unfortunately, than the previous months. Alrighty then, so let's just get to all the 12 books that I read in the month of February. So the first 4 books, I'm actually going to come to speed run through them a little bit because I've already talked about them, and my second video diary is the Minnesota Winter Diary number 2. I will link it down in the description if you have missed it, but I have talked about all 4 of these books here, so I'm just gonna kind of speed run through them a little bit. So I did start off the month with Stars in Your Eyes by Case and Calendar. I was reading it via audio. It was also for the Phase and Gaze 24-hour readathon that I was a guest co-host for. So again, I will link that stuff out down below. Audiobook. It was a really good audiobook. It wasn't very long. A little bit of mixed media. This is a queer contemporary romance by Case and Calendar. First time I've ever read anything adult. Really good. 4.5 stars. Check content warnings. The content warning is provided physically, and also the audiobook does provide the content warnings, but still really like it. The ending was a bit of a slight miss, but still solid enough for me. Next, I read Victor Lavalle's Destroyer, which is a graphic novel. I read that for the Read a Black comic / graphic novel prompt, and I did not like this one. I didn't understand it. It's a Frankenstein retelling. Definitely look up content warnings before reading. Police brutality, death of a child is definitely a major thing. And it's also very gory. But yeah, I didn't really care for Victor Lavalle's Destroyer, unfortunately. I will try Victor Lavalle's novels, novellas, something like that. I'll try his other stuff, but this one did not work well for me. After the graphic novel, I read Lore of the Wilds by Annalise Sabrana. This is a science fiction special edition. I got it early, even though the book traditionally did officially come out February 27th. This is I think new adult dark cottagecore romantasy where we have human girl, love triangle, enemies to lovers with Black Fae, which is what interests me, was really the fact that we're dealing with Black Fae, not so much enemies to lovers, love triangle. Disappointing. It's one of the worst books I've read so far this year, which thoroughly disappoints me. Not to say I don't really recommend it, but it's very aggressively average. But it's a debut novel, it's a first in the duology. I am still interested to read the second book, so we shall see, but as far as if this particular copy is going to be on the shelf or not, I don't know yet. And then the 100 Years War on Palestine was my next read after that. I had it mixed between physically and audiobook. Highly recommend this one. It's written by a Palestinian author. This is talking about, like, it's basically a condensed history on the past 100 years in regards to Palestine. It comes very highly recommended, which is why the hold list on my library was so long. I do now own the audiobook from Libro FM, so thankful for that. And I definitely plan to do a reread of it because I really want to go back and really take down more like notes and annotations for sure. So whenever I get a snag of physical copy, I'll definitely do a reread of that. The author did narrate the introduction, but the rest of the book is narrated by someone else, and it really is a good condensed. It is a little bit dense for sure, so definitely take your time with it, but it is very, very important history, and it's very much is eye-opening. It actually shows like how a lot of the stuff we're seeing right now in regards to what's going on with the Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank, that this is not really new. It's just that it's gone to the point of heightened escalation. That is where it gets really, really concerning. But yeah, that's pretty much what I read in that second video diary. So then after that, I pretty much read 4 arcs back to back to back. Now, excuse me as I go on my phone because I need to reread some of these reviews because I generally don't remember every single detail with these books sometimes. I was approved of 3 arcs in the beginning of February, and I did not want to be behind on these books since they were coming out within February. One even I got approved of, even though the book published in January. But it did fit for Blackathon though, so yeah, so let's just get to all 4 arcs that I read this past month. So I think the first arc I read was Womb City by Tolo Samas. I think that's how you pronounce the author's name. I'm really not sure, but the author is from Botswana, and also the author's pronouns are Zizem, so Zay uses neo-pronouns, so Zizem and she, her, but I think Zizem seems like a pretty prominent pronoun, so I'll be using that here for this video, just to let y'all know though. So I got this on NetGalley. It's from Recorded Books since I got it as an advanced listening copy, but the physical copy is from a publisher named Erwan Books, which I'm always tend to be interested a little bit in their books, at least for what they publish. This book came out January 23rd. It's a debut novel as well. It's sci-fi horror and dystopian in like a futuristic Botswana, and I give it like 3.25 stars. It's a very much solid enough debut novel, but honestly it was just a lot going on. Let's see what I say. It's an ambitious debut novel. Look at my phone here. I've never read anything of this author's short fiction, so new to their writing style. Very grating to be told a lot instead of shown. I understand this is their debut as they wanted to fully explain dystopian Botswana, but not a fan of how heavy-handed the themes and messaging was. That is definitely my main critique, but really, I really would struggle to even give it a 4, because I was like, I wanted to give it a 4, but honestly I'm like, I just can't with this style of just like telling me things, and especially with theming and messaging. I'm just like, I don't need these things to be told to me, especially with the comp titles of like The Handmaid's Tale means Get Out, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like got what that is. Honestly, it's kind of a lot going on, so even me thinking even of the synopsis right now is just like, I'm already blanking. But I do remember really finding the dystopian Botswana world very fascinating. There was a lot going on, but I was able to at least follow along for the most part, for sure. It's just that it was just a lot in regards to theming. Sure, it was heavy-handed, but it also was a lot. So I think the heavy-handedness makes sense because of how much the author was trying to balance everything. Yeah, lots of things to balance with. Handle themes well, but not amazingly. Too many eggs in one basket, but able to carry it over to the finish line. Yeah, something like that. That's that, honestly. I can't really say much on the actual plot in the story because there's just so much going on, and I barely remember much of it. So, yeah, 3.25 stars. I definitely recommend the audiobook, though. It is also kind of long. I think physically it's like a little bit over 400 pages, and the audiobook is like 16 hours. So I'm just like, That's so long. I don't know, or at least it just felt really long. I don't know, y'all. It felt really long. It might be a long, but I feel like it could have been shorter. What else did I read after that? Okay, so after that, I read The Foxwife by Yang Chu. I got a book in the month edition of this. It's things from the February pick. Let's see. So this is, I listened to the audiobook of it, so it's Macmillan Audio, and then the publisher, Henry Holt Books. So as far as, so this is the author's third novel. I didn't even know, like, I wasn't even familiar with this author. This is the author of, like, The Night Tiger, The Ghost Bride, stuff like that. So this is an adult historical, lit fic, speculative fiction novel. We're following kind of like two stories that kind of come together. So we have this fox woman here, who is this fox spirit, who's trying to avenge the death of her child. And then we have this detective guy named Bao, who is trying to identify the corpse of a dead woman. So, yeah. I did find this story to be very, very fascinating. It has a very interesting writing style, especially when we do follow the fox spirit woman here. I found her story to be very, very interesting, very engaging for me, and especially since, like, I do like foxes as just animals, and I don't know anything in regards to fox spirits, but it was so fascinating. And the way that the author wrote this story, it really felt like almost like a is it like kind of like a folk tale, honestly, like a very mythical, like a folk tale. Yeah, it felt like a folk tale that you hear in like a bedtime story. Especially since I did listen to it via audio, it is also narrated by the author, so like it really felt like the author was just telling me like a bedtime story, and it was just so good. And I also did like the way too, like how things were going on with the story as well, and seeing how those two separate stories come together. It was really, really interesting. It's very also fascinating and mysterious and pretty cunning, because these are tricky spirits. The way that the fox spirits works as well is very, very fascinating. I like how the author handled that. I think it's very, very cool. Content warnings. What did I put in for content warnings? Oh yeah, child death, which is also animal death since the child is an animal, so fair warning on that one. Sexual harassment, because I swear every single man wanted me touching this woman. I'm like, y'all keep your freaking hands to yourselves. Oh my gosh, I wanted to burn every single man's hands apart. I just want to do something violent. I'm like, I wanted to do something violent. Go away. Go away. Men suck. Let's see, there's confinement in here. Let's see, suicide is a minor thing. Bullying is a minor thing. Child abuse as well, minor though. So yeah, fair warnings on that, but it's definitely a story though that I definitely recommend. It's not something usually I will pick up, honestly, but it just straight up intrigued me by the cover, the fact we're doing the foxes, which is like, huh? So yeah, honestly, yeah. I don't know what to tell y'all. I just think it was a really good audiobook. I definitely recommend the audiobook. And I definitely plan to read more of this author's works via audio, since she also narrates her other works. So, I'm very much looking forward to reading more from this author, and I hope y'all give this a chance if you have not already. And then the last arc that I've read this month, but it was, actually no wait, it's not the last arc. Oh no, wait, hold on, now I have one more arc. Oopsie. Okay, so I have two more arcs to talk about here. So I listened to another advanced listening copy, and this one's for A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Fazal. So I've actually been really looking forward to this book because of, you know, I think we all knew, if you've heard about this book, if you have not, it's pretty much a new young adult fantasy duology by the author of the We Hunt the Flame duology. It is also set in the same world, except that we're in a fictionalized England, I think. And this is pretty much like Six of Crows, but with vampires. The Six of Crows comparison title thing is really in regards to the fact that it's a found family, and it's doing the heist here. We're doing the mastermind main character, stuff like that, which is fine, honestly. And I am starting to realize that maybe heist stories might not be my thing anymore. The heist in this one was fine, but I did felt disappointed a little bit, but also confused. Despite this being a pretty solid start to a new duology with a pretty similar fantasy world to another series, I'm still debating on the fact if you need to read that duology to read this one. Like, plot-wise, and with characters, I don't think so. I mean, I was pretty fine for the most part with the world, but I also felt like certain things were just not explained. I take issue with that. I'm like, if you're gonna say you don't need to read a series before this new one in the same world, with following different characters, then fully explain your world, because I don't think you fully explain your world here, especially with these vampires. I like the inclusion of vampires, but you also need to explain why vampires are here. Like, what's the purpose here? Unless you plan to do that with the sequel, which I don't know why we want to do that in the sequel instead of this first book, but okay, fine, whatever. But then even with that, the characters, they're fine, they're solid, but they're not gonna be that memorable for me. They're solid enough characters. I'll just remember them as like just the solid baselineness of their characters, but other than that, I'm not fully attached. I don't find them amazing, I don't find them intriguing. It's just like, but again, it's a start, so like, we shall see in the sequel how it comes together. But so far, this start it didn't wow me, and I'm a little bit disappointed. Since this is my first foray into Hafsa Faisal's work, I've never read the We Hunt the Flames, so this is my first time reading her stuff. So I'm like, I hope in the sequel, something clicking for me, because right now it's just feeling like fine, and the plot twist stuff is also pretty fun. I was definitely shocked by a couple of things for sure, but I also felt like the pacing is a little bit all over the place a little bit. Some places were really fast and other places were a little bit too slow. So I was like, what's going on with that? Not happy about that, honestly. But that's a tempest of tea. So I recommend it though. Regardless, the audiobook was pretty good. Even though I give it a 3.5 stars, it's fine. Content warnings, colonialism, blood, death of parent, racism, emotional abuse, and xenophobia. And then the last arc that I read was The Truth of the Eleki by Moses Osa Utomi. This is the sequel to the Leslie Ajongo. This is part of the Forever Desert trilogy, and I got this physical arc from an Instagram giveaway from Tor.com. So thank you, Tor.com Instagram, for the art. And this is a pretty solid sequel. This does a really good job as far as expanding on the world here, following a new set of characters, and continue on with the events of the lives of the Ajongo. So this is taking place like 500 years of the events of the Ajongo within the city, in this place called the City of Truth, which is now the last remaining free city of the Forever Desert. And we follow 16-year-old Osi, who is a peacekeeper. But then there's a massacre, and Osi has to learn to train and stuff to pretty much conquer, to go up against the Eleki. And I find that this was really, really good. I give this a solid 4 stars. I have found the theming of dismantling lies to find truths to be a very poignant and an important message to follow, and I think that message and theme was handled really, really well here. It's also pretty violent, and it's pretty a violent story as well, so definitely forewarning on murder, violence, blood, gore, all that stuff. But I did really like how everything in here is just packed up in like 100 pages. Like, Moses Osa Utomi is really, really good with like the short stuff. Like, he is able to write a very interesting characters, world, action, really good messaging and theming, and like a novella format. Like, such a story that he's written easily fits into 100 pages, and it does not need more pages, it does not need less pages. It is fine, it is solid, it's well paced, well written, and all that stuff. So definitely recommend The Truth of the Eleki, or actually really The Lies of the Jungle as a start, and then read on to the sequel. This book actually now officially came out on March 5th. So now y'all can read at least start reading this series. The third and final book, I don't know when that's gonna come out, but it will come out. So y'all have something to look forward to for that. So after all of my arc reading, I finally decided to just go back to pretty much my Blackathon TBR, shall we? I did read Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. This one I got originally from KU, but then my KU free trial said bye in the middle of the month, and then I just bought the ebook because I was really loving it already. If you do not know, this is a queer contemporary romance. It's sapphic. It's a rivals to lovers romance following 2 rivaling head comic artists in this comic book company. And it was really, really good. I find the writing to be pretty solid. I really like the characters, and I really like their dynamic and their rivalry. It truly is a rivals to lovers, y'all. If rivals to lovers is a trope that you adore, or like you really just like to read, I highly recommend this one to be added to your list. Please add it to your list. I really like the relationship between Noah and Sade. That was really, really good. I like the way that it's written. I also like the fact there's no third act breakups. Finally, good well communication, understanding of their flaws, making it work. I love it. Truly, truly, truly love it. Favorite book of the month, 5 stars. It's the only 5-star of the month, and I'm so happy it's this one. Good time. And then I pretty much just marathoned the Mead Mishaps series. I mean, I already read the first book in January, so then I read the sequels this month. So let's start with That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. First of all, I don't really love the title. It's way too long. I'm still debating on the fact that Yeeted was in the title. Not totally sure how I feel about that. And I will have to say, this was a pretty majorly disappointing book. This is the second worst book that I read this month, and so far this year. I did not like this sequel. I'm very thoroughly disappointed that I did not like this sequel, because I really want to own all 3 of the books in this series, and yet I can't because this sequel just did not work for me. And as you can tell with the title, we do have Bree, who is the friend of Cinnamon from the first book, falling in love with the werewolf, but she did accidentally threw a love potion at him. It was very much accidental. The entire setup to that one, it was definitely accidental in that part. But still, I did not like the fact that we're doing the love potion. The love potion thing made things very much insta-love, even though we're already doing with the fated mates trope in this entire series. We already got that. So now we're having a love potion on top of that. I don't like that. It's not like I hated the fated mates trope, honestly, with this series. It depends on the book and how each of the human mates feels about the fated mate thing, and also who is with, but I really did not like the way this one went about it, especially with the fact with the love potion, because that's also where the dubious consent comes in with this one. And I am not here for a love potion in regards to dubious consent and then insta-love. I just cannot. It did not work for me. And also, I'm starting to realize I don't think I really like a werewolf romance either. I don't like anything in regards to werewolves now. I'm starting to realize, I'm starting to realize why I was not into werewolves as a teenager. I truly was a vampire person. I truly was. Not because I feel like this book was written wrong or terribly or anything. I just think that this was just the kind of romance that did not work for me. The insta-love, the dude's consent with the love potion, the fact that this was dealing with werewolves, and I had to search up something in regards to werewolves, and now I wish I didn't. So, I already have regrets. And also, the chemistry between these characters just didn't work for me. I mean, granted, we're dealing with a love potion, and also, granted, we are dealing with the love potion. So we are dealing with Bree trying to think, is this really real and stuff? Which also I wasn't sure either. I was like, is it real? But then again, it's also fated mates because imprinting. So I don't know. But that was very convenient. So I'm like, I didn't like it. It doesn't work. I don't get it. But yeah, it's just, I really did not like it. And I unfortunately did not really like Bree as much in her own books. So that also was, pretty disappointing, honestly. So yeah, the book does provide content warnings, so if you want to know the content warnings, it's provided by the author. So yes, but I am indeed very much disappointed. I was really looking forward to actually liking this one, despite the fact it was a really long title, but I was really looking forward to it. But yeah, this did not work for me. This is it's like a 2-star. But then though I read the 3rd and final book, That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human, that one is a close favorite. That's actually a new favorite of mine for the series. My all-time favorite though is definitely still the first book, honestly. But this 3rd book though is a close second. Where we're following Cherry though, and then we have another dragon demon. Clearly the dragon demons are working for me here. Clearly. But I also really like the dynamic between Cherry and her mate Dante, which we were introduced to in the first book. And then Cherry as well, which we were introduced as far as as a character, sort of. But we did not know this character was even alive, honestly. So it's actually really cool to see how she was alive in the past couple of books till now, this 3rd book. And I really like it. Also, Dante is so funny. He's sweet, but he really does things that I'm just like, bro, it's just funny, okay? I like the shenanigans that was going on with those two, okay? I truly did like that. So I definitely like the side of this one. I don't think there's any dubious consent. The author did not provide the content warning that dubious consent was present here, and I am no expert on dubious consent at all, but I do feel like there were a couple things that were, I feel like maybe a little bit dubious, but I don't know. Look, I don't know, but I feel like dubious consent should be one. I don't know. I'm still not sure how to explain the dubious consent thing. So I'm still pretty new to dubious consent, so we shall see. But yeah, I definitely had a good time with this one. This is a solid 4 stars. a new favorite for the series. I do really want to own the books, but like, I don't know about that second book though. I might just have to get books 1 and 3 and just call it a day. So then the last and final book that I finished out this month with, and also the readathon with as well, was Ghost Season by Fenton Abbas. This is a book written by a Sudanese author, and I read it for the read a book by a Sudanese author prompt. So this is a contemporary book. I read it via audio. It's also a debut novel as well, and it does follow 5 people in an NGO compound in Sudan, or at least in the border of Sudan and South Sudan, somewhere around there. It's very interesting for me because it's hard for me to really talk about it since it is a contemporary, and I don't know necessarily how to talk about it without spoiling it either. But just know that it is very much character driven, so it does follow really the events regarding the characters and what's going on with them. There's not much outside of it. It's not really much plot, but I will say there's definitely some. It does start off with finding a dead body in this NGO compound, and how pretty much over time there's a certain feeling of unrest until shit hits the fan, basically, at a certain point in the story, where the violence comes to the doors. So, yeah, definitely check content warnings before you read this. I definitely did not thoroughly check the content warnings myself, so that was definitely a struggle, and I definitely made a mistake of not reading the content warnings beforehand. So I'm recommending y'all read content warnings before going to this one. But I gave this one a solid 4 stars. I like the fact there are 2 narrators. One is Bonnie Turpin, and I think there's this other narrator that I'm familiar with. I really like his voice and stuff. So there are 2 narrators for these 5 characters that we follow, and I find each character to be pretty endearing, and I grew to really like to follow their stories. Contemporary fiction is not really the genre that I really read a lot of, so it's hard for me to really review contemporary fiction, but I hope this is a solid enough review as far as what to expect. It's definitely an emotional read, and it's also a sad read, so if you're here for an emotionally sad good time, yay, this is the book for you, at least to give it a shot. But yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. That's all the books that I read in the month of February, and these are all the books that I have here physically with me. It's all a good time, all the things. Definitely a range of books. I read a lot more romance this month, which I did not expect myself to do. But you know what? We are here. I did say I want to explore, and I feel like February is a good month to do that in. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for y'all. Please let me know in the comments down below. What did y'all read? How was y'all's February? Did y'all participate in Blackathon? How did Blackathon treat you? All the things. Please let me know in the comments down below. All y'all thoughts and feelings and opinions on regards to February. And then if you made it this far into the video and you're not really sure what to say, but you want to let me know you made it this far with an emoji, leave me a black heart or a brown heart emoji in the comments down below, okay? Anyways, thank you all for coming to this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.